Hey, so under the first part, the greatest common factor is the largest whole number that can divide two numbers. So the greatest common factor is the largest whole number that can divide two numbers. Okay, so when we're finding the greatest common factor, or what we call the GCF, you're going to find the largest number that divides both of them. You've probably already done this when reducing fractions. When you're reducing fractions, you're trying to find the largest number that goes into both of the fractions to divide it by. That's when you're finding the GCF, or the greatest common factor. The next one, the least common multiple, is the smallest quantity that is a multiple of two or more numbers. So the least common multiple is the smallest quantity that is a multiple of two or more numbers.
What's the last one?
Two or more numbers. Least common multiple you also use in fractions when you're finding a common denominator. Okay, so when you're finding a common denominator, you're finding the LCM. When you're simplifying, you're using the GCF. Okay, so you might have done a little bit of this last year. We're going to continue with it this year. Okay, it's not a competition. Okay, under first number, I want you to write 8. Second number is 4. 8 and 4. So we're going to find the GCF and the LCM of these two numbers. Okay? So what you're going to do on page 11, when you're finding the GCF, you're going to make the letter F. Right? You have to make an F for each number. So I'm going to put my 8 on the outside and 4. Yes, some of you did this in summer school. It means you're ahead of us.
It's kind of hard. It's confusing how she hard.
Alright, what you're going to do, when you multiply, what number goes into every number? What number, when you multiply, goes into every number? What is it?
1.
1. So what do I take 1 times to get 8?
1 times 8.
So I place the 1 on top. 1 times what gives me 8? Krista, you sit down. So 1 times 8 gives me 8. Go get your lunch on a white tray and come back. Can I take 2 times anything to get 8?
No, yes.
2 times what?
4.
2 times 4. Can I take 3 times anything?
No.
No. Can I take 4 times anything?
2 times 2.
I already have it, right?
That's what you're done.
So I'm done. So now I go to 4. What do I start with? 1 and 4.
1, 2 times 4.
Can I take anything else? 2 times 2.
You're all done.
And once this repeats, I know I'm done.
I know.
Now, you're going to start from the bottom, and you're going to work backwards.
What?
So what you're going to do is you're going to find the largest number in common. So I have an 8 here. Do I have an 8 over here?
No.
No. I have a 4 here. Do I have a 4 here? Yes. So my GCF, or my greatest common factor, is a 4. Okay? Now, listen. When we do the least common multiple, we're going to make an M. You only have to make one M, and at the top, you're going to place your numbers. You're going to say 8 and 4.
I forgot how you do this. Oh, I know this is multiply. I got it.
Just wait. So, on the 8 side, you're going to count by 8. So we start with 8. What comes next? 16, then, careful. 24. Clara, can you open the door, please? What comes after 24? 32, then?
35. 45.
40. You always want to go to 5 numbers unless you hit a number that is in common. Okay? Now we're going to go to 4. So counting by 4s. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. What's in common? Something smaller.
16.
Something smaller.
8.
8. So least common multiple, you have to find the smallest of the numbers. So my least common multiple is 8.
This is easy.
Okay?
Hold on, can you go back to the M?
Okay, let's try your next 2 numbers. 20, I'm going to go right back to it, Krista. 20 and 15. So first number is 20, second number is 15. Alright, starting with greatest common factor. So you're making an F for each number. Placing the number outside the F. So I have a 20, and I have 15. Back standing desk. Hey, so what do I start with? 1 and 20. Now what I'm going to ask myself, can I take 2 times anything to get 20? 2 times 10. Can I take 3 times anything?
No.
4 times anything?
Yes.
4 times? 5. Notice how I'm starting with 1 and I'm working my way up. Don't skip around because that's when you're going to miss up. Alright? 5 I already have, so once that number's on there, I can stop. Okay, I went 1, 2, I checked 3, 4, 5's already on here, so I know there's no more numbers that multiply together to equal 20. Alright, now let's go to 15. What do I start with? 1, 15. 2 times anything? 3 and 4 and anything? 5. 5's already on here, so I stop, right? Don't double it unless the number repeats. So now I'm going from here and I'm working backwards. So my greatest number is 5. So my greatest common factor is 5. What? You always start at the bottom and work backwards and you find the greatest number in common between them. So 20 wasn't in there, 10 wasn't in there, 5 was. You always start at the bottom and work backwards, find the number that's in common between both sides. Okay? Questions on your GCF?
No, I don't get it.
Okay, do you see how we got the factors? You get that. You see how we got 1 and 20, 2 and 10, 4 and 5. You see how we got all those? So then at the end, we start at the bottom. Nico, stop. Because 4 times 5 gives me 20. So then I start at the bottom, Jaslyn. So I look, I start with 20. Do I have a 20 on this side?
Oh, so you, now I get it.
Okay. Do you have a 10? No. You have a 5. That's your greatest number. Always start at the bottom and work backwards. Alright, any other questions on GCF?
What if the 2 answers the same?
You take the largest number. That's why you start at the bottom and work backwards. Because they're all going to have 1 in common. But we want the greatest number. Okay? Now we're going to do least common multiple. So we're going to make an M. This one's a little bit harder.
Yeah, I don't.
Starting with 20 and 15 at the top. Okay? When you count by 20s, we're really counting by 2 and adding a 0 at the end, right?
Yeah.
So 20, what comes next? 40, then 60, then 80, then 100. Okay? So I've got 5. Now let's go to 15. So 15 plus 15 is 30. Add another 15. Careful. 45. Add another 15. 60. Add another 15. 75. Remember, if you get stuck, you have your 30 by 30 multiplication chart. We're just going down the list. What is my common? 60. So my least common multiple is 60. Questions on least common multiple? We're going to do some, yep.
Oh, I got another one.
Yes, Jaslyn.
It's like what if there's another?
You take the least one. That's why it's least common multiple. Okay? So, Jaslyn asked a good question. With LCM, remember it's least common multiple. If I would have found another number that's higher, you can't use it. You have to take the smallest of them. Just like we did here. Some of you were saying 16. I said, no, that's not your least. So you have to go with the smallest. GCF, greatest common factor, you go with the largest number in common. Okay, so greatest common factor, you go with the largest number. Least common multiple, you go with the smallest. Okay?